Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission's regular meeting of August 7th, 2024. Tonight I am chairing the Planning Commission as Vice Chairman, where our Chairman is not available. However, we do have enough members here for conduct business. We do not have any minutes tonight, and we have one recommendation to the Mayor and City Council, SDP 9759-2024, Schematic Development Plan for the construction of 14,750 square feet of retail space. And tonight, Caroline Seiden will be presenting for the city.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. This is a recommendation to Mayor and City Council for Schematic Development Plan application SDP 9759-2024. The subject property shown on the monitor is known as Parcel S, shown highlighted in blue, and is addressed as 725 Progress Way. It is part of the 43.96 acre redevelopment of the former IBM property. The currently unimproved parcel is bound by Bunsen Place to the northwest, the North Frederick Avenue Linear Park, and then North Frederick Avenue to the northeast, 705 Progress Way to the southeast, and then Progress Way to the southwest. Vehicular access to the site is from Progress Way. The applicant filed an SDP application on March 5th, 2024, requesting approval to construct two buildings with up to 14,750 square feet of retail use. The current SDP application represents the second schematic development plan to implement Sketch Plan SK 8180 2019, which is shown up here. Which permits up to 650,000 square feet of commercial, employment, and industrial uses. The first schematic development plan, SDP 8597-2020, was approved in 2020, followed by three final site plans that implement that first SDP. A joint public hearing for this application was held on July 1st, 2024. There was no public oral testimony or written testimony received prior to the close of the Planning Commission record. Comments discussed by the Mayor and City Council and the Planning Commission during the public hearing related to the maintenance responsibility for the shared outdoor seating area, pedestrian connectivity between the existing and proposed buildings and the Frederick Avenue Linear Park, and the elimination of drive-through lanes if not required by prospective tenants. In response to the joint public hearing discussions, the applicant has submitted a supplemental response letter, Exhibit 46, and has also submitted revised plans, which are Exhibits 48 to 64. Planning Commission held its record open until 5 p.m. on July 31st, 2024, and there are currently 64 exhibits in the record. As I already noted, application SDP 9759-2024 proposes to construct two retail buildings with up to 14,750 square feet of retail use at 715 and 725 Progress Way. Each structure is proposed to be located on its own lot, with Lot 7 on the right, improved with a 10,100 square foot building, and Lot 8 on the left, improved with a 4,650 square foot building. Each building is proposed to have a maximum height of 30 feet, and each building proposes a drive-through that circulates around the northeast side of each building, shown here with two drive-through lanes and here on Lot 8, parallel with the Frederick Avenue Linear Park. The lots share an internal vehicular connection right in the middle here, as well as a shared pedestrian connection from Progress Way to the Linear Park and an outdoor area midway between Progress Way and the park, located between the two buildings, and that's shown here in the middle with some seating. Egress to the lots will be from two access points on Progress Way. They are shown on the bottom of the screen here, where there's a crosswalk, and here on Lot 7. And there's a signalized intersection, it's not quite on the screen, at Bunsen Place and North Frederick Avenue. As part of its response to public hearing inquiries, the applicant has submitted a circulation plan to demonstrate adequate pedestrian and vehicular circulation between the two proposed lots and across existing improvements on the overall site. This is Exhibit 47. Each lot includes vehicular access from Progress Way as well as vehicular access between the two lots to reduce turning movement throughout the overall site. A shared pedestrian spine that I already mentioned extends from the linear park through the two parcels to Progress Way. The pedestrian spine incorporates a raised crosswalk across the interparcel vehicular connection. And existing sidewalks along Progress Way will accommodate pedestrian circulation from the property to the adjacent lots. The applicant has also provided an exhibit demonstrating drive-through stacking conditions as part of an analysis of the plan's conformance with the city's drive-through best practices memo. This is exhibit number 60. Staff is supportive of the circulation plan and is pleased that the applicant has provided another connection from the North Frederick Avenue Linear Park through to Progress Way. And while the mid-parcel vehicular connection, which is shown here, does break the pedestrian spine, the raised crosswalk is designed to ensure slower movements. It's staff's belief that the mid-parcel vehicular connection is preferable circulation pattern for the overall development. With the proposed design, parking for both lots is more readily available for drivers without forcing them back onto Progress Way. And more importantly, truck turning movements for trucks servicing each of these lots is far more efficient with the proposed traffic pattern, so they can get between the two lots without going out onto Progress Way. In response to inquiries regarding the future of the drive-through lanes, should they not be required for a tenant, the applicant has added a note on the SDP cover page, which reads, drive-through facilities shown on the approved schematic development and not required at the time of final site plan shall be reduced or eliminated. The final design of such modification will be reviewed at final site plan. The project also includes this shared outdoor seating area and a tree-lined alley connecting to the linear park, shown here. The path is purposely offset to ensure that bicyclists coming from the linear park are forced to slow down through the project. Staff is supportive of the shared outdoor dining and believes that it is a superior design to two smaller outdoor spaces that would otherwise be designed for each lot. Providing additional green and public open space is encouraged should either of the drive-through lanes not be required at final site plan. The applicant has submitted four-sided preliminary architectural elevations for the two retail buildings. This is Lot 7 shown on the screen, and has also included this conceptual architecture in the updated design guidelines, which is Exhibit 63. The guidelines call for articulation on all buildings, a minimum 30% glazing at tenant entrances, water tables, and high-quality materials. This is Lot 8. Staff is comfortable with the preliminary architecture for the building fronts and sides. The applicant has added awnings to the rear elevations facing the North Frederick Avenue Linear Park, and additional details such as false windows, additional brickwork, and doors with more detail should be incorporated at this elevation at final site plan. Staff has reviewed the applicant's revised plans and is of the opinion that the applicant has adequately addressed the questions raised by both the mayor and city council and the planning commission. Staff is supportive of the plan and confirms that the schematic development plan conforms with the requirements of the sketch plan. I'll just note that the square footage proposed for retail is the maximum permitted for the remainder of Block A, which this is a part of under Sketch Plan SK 8180, 2019. That's the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Karen. First of all, I'd like to commend the applicant on making the adjustments and considering all the recommendations that we and the city council made. I think you've done a really good job on taking these into consideration. I just have two nitpicks. One is, are there bicycle racks anywhere in the parking lot?
We would look at that at final site plan. So.
Okay. And the other nitpick that I have, which I always preach about, is EV chargers.
Yeah, we would look at that at final site plan.
But there is more than adequate parking available, which is great. More than adequately exceeds the number of spaces. Anybody else on the council the commission have any?
Just a quick thought. That was very thorough, Carolyn. Thank you. I won't bother doing my homework if we're going to give that big a presentation every time. But we kind of have a build to line, right? 31 feet ish. How do we sort of cement that? You know, if those drive lanes go away, we want to make it clear that 31 feet is sacrosanct. I think it works really well.
Yeah, so the build two lines would, with the approval of the SDP, become the preliminary subdivision lines. If those drive-through lanes go away and there was another design contemplated for either of those spaces, if it really wiggles outside of that, that would be an amendment to the SDP.
Right. Okay. Great.
They can, of course, shrink, that's the maximum
Right.
square footage, but if they work within that envelope, then
We're
they'd
always
be
the
okay.
crenellations and little corners and all that kind of stuff can
Yeah.
be moderated, changed, whatever it is. But the general idea of the footprint, in particular, the setback from the hiker biker, from the street, is critical. So.
Are you okay with the park, the way it's considered, the way it's situated right now, and the accessibility?
So big kudos to staff and the applicant for doing a shared, sitting area like that with a common path in there, because I know it's not easy, and I know that you don't have tenants in here to complain to you yet, but they're going to, right? So it's good and brave and the right thing to do. It's a better product than two separate areas, and I think it's great.
I just have one little nit, I guess, and it's it's right where it looks like it's going to be a drive-through, and I've noticed in some existing drive-throughs when you go around the corner, sometimes people who are a little careful kind of hit the corner of the building. Have you considered like a bollard, like right there at the corner to protect it?
Yeah, I think that's also something that would be a final site plan detail.
Okay.
Because these at the moment are just
outlines,
speculative, and we don't know exactly how
Okay.
it's going to lay out.
Okay.
We don't know if it's even going to be two, some of these are shown as 2 lanes of drive-through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that would be kind of a...
Yeah.
Should we check out the side of your car before we go home? You left some nice paint on the side of a
I
fast
have a
food place?
17-year-old car, so...
Caroline,
whatever.
at this section, at this point, juncture, we're not looking at the architecture and the materials for the buildings at this point.
Right, well, they're in the design guidelines. There are design guidelines that require specific features of the architecture, so it's just preliminary, and then same thing at final site plan, you would look at the
And there is
final
some,
architecture.
Design guidelines are what they are, right? There's always room in there for
Right.
what we want, which is tenant expressive designs, right? Whoever they are to be expressing themselves, but sometimes that expression can be obnoxious. So we want to sort of have these guidelines as guardrails.
Right.
And I just want to give to the applicant the advice, say, look, your elevations are wonderful. So I think there's some additional pressure on the applicants when they do, on the final site plan drawings, when they come in, to really treat with full design intent your elevations, not just the design guidelines. So I think it's always risky to show us elevations. I get it, but they're great. And so I think reinforcing that to your future tenants is going to be important to make it easier to get through the next step. So.
Any other questions?
Good.
Carolyn, can you read the
Sure.
proposal?
Staff recommends that the Planning Commission, based on the evidence and testimony submitted to the record and the findings in the final staff analysis, recommend approval of SDP 9759-2024 to the Mayor and City Council with one condition that is included in your package.
Any further discussion?
No?
Do I hear a motion?
Danny?
Okay.
It's been like 2 years since I made a motion.
Mr. Chair, I recommend that the Planning Commission, based on the evidence and testimony submitted in our discussion tonight into the record, and the findings in the final staff analysis, recommend approval of SDP-9759-2024 to the Mayor and City Council with the one condition. I'm going to read it into the record. Applicant must submit revised schematic development plan as required to satisfy all city staff comments prior to signing of plans by planning staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show 3-0 is the vote. Thank you very much. Good luck. We
guys.
look
Good
forward
luck.
to the next step. Now from the commission. Matt, do you have
Nothing
anything?
for me. Yeah.
Just that we are moving forward with the joint MPCA and MD APA Maryland joint conference in October, from October 20th to the 22nd. We're going to have an app that you can sign up with where it's almost ready, so be on the lookout for it. But I urge you to really consider joining us. We're going to have a great conference. Okay?
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Like I can now get CMs from it too, right?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Greg, anything else from?
The only thing I have tonight is to remind you your next meeting is Wednesday, September 4th. There are no other meetings in August for the Planning Commission.
September
Okay.
4th, my goodness.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope, not tonight.
Great. If not, then we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.